The Crusades were among the most defining and controversial chapters in history, shaping not only the medieval world but leaving an indelible mark on global politics, religion, and culture. They are remembered as a series of wars waged over faith and territory, with countless lives lost and empires reshaped. But beyond the battles and sieges lies a complex story of human ambition, belief, and conflict. The Crusades were not just a clash of swords but a clash of civilizations, ideas, and faiths. The Crusades began in the late 11th century, at a time when Europe was undergoing significant social and political transformation. The Byzantine Empire, once a dominant power in the Mediterranean, was struggling against the expanding Seljuk Turks. Meanwhile, the Islamic caliphates in the Middle East were cultural and scientific powerhouses but were politically fragmented. At the center of this tension lay the Holy Land, a region sacred to Christians, Muslims, and Jews alike. Jerusalem, in particular, was a focal point of reverence and desire, and it would become the heart of the conflict. The First Crusade was launched in 1095 after Pope Urban II delivered a passionate speech at the Council of Clermont. He called upon European Christians to take up arms and reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control. Urban promised spiritual rewards for those who joined the cause, including the remission of sins. This appeal to faith, coupled with the opportunity for adventure, wealth, and land, resonated deeply across Europe. Nobles, knights, and peasants alike took up the cross, marking the beginning of a centuries-long struggle. The journey to the Holy Land was perilous. Crusaders faced starvation, disease, and the constant threat of ambush. Despite these hardships, the First Crusade achieved its objective. In 1099, Jerusalem was captured after a brutal siege. The Crusaders established several Christian states in the region, including the Kingdom of Jerusalem, but the victory came at a horrifying cost. Thousands of Muslims and Jews were slaughtered during the conquest, a grim reminder of the war's brutal nature. The success of the First Crusade was short-lived. Over the next century, the Muslim world rallied under leaders like Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria. Saladin became a unifying figure, renowned for his military prowess and chivalry. In 1187, he recaptured Jerusalem, dealing a significant blow to the Crusader states. Saladin's respect for his enemies and his decision to spare Jerusalem's Christian inhabitants earned him admiration even among his adversaries. The fall of Jerusalem prompted the Third Crusade, led by some of Europe's most iconic monarchs, including Richard the Lionheart of England, Philip II of France, and Frederick Barbarossa of the Holy Roman Empire. Richard and Saladin became legendary figures, embodying the rivalry and mutual respect that often characterized the Crusades. While the Third Crusade failed to recapture Jerusalem, it secured a treaty that allowed Christian pilgrims access to the city. The later Crusades were increasingly marred by internal divisions and shifting priorities. The Fourth Crusade, for example, never reached the Holy Land. Instead, the Crusaders turned their weapons against Constantinople, the heart of Eastern Christianity. In 1204, this betrayal deepened the schism between the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches, a divide that persists to this day. As the Crusades continued, the motivations behind them grew increasingly complex. While faith remained a driving force, economic and political ambitions often took precedence. For many participants, the Crusades were an opportunity to gain wealth, land, or social advancement. Merchants from cities like Venice and Genoa capitalized on the conflict, establishing lucrative trade networks that bridged East and West. The impact of the Crusades extended far beyond the battlefield. They facilitated cultural exchange between Europe and the Islamic world, introducing new ideas, technologies, and goods. The Crusaders encountered advanced medical practices, architectural techniques, and philosophical works that would influence European thought for centuries. The Crusades also contributed to the rise of chivalry and the romanticized image of knights, which still captivates imaginations today, but the Crusades also left a legacy of bitterness and mistrust. The violence and atrocities committed during the campaigns fueled tensions between Christians, Muslims, and Jews. Communities were uprooted, and entire populations were decimated. The destruction of Constantinople during the Fourth Crusade and the massacres in cities like Jerusalem and Acre are stark reminders of the human cost of these wars. As the Crusades waned in the late 13th century, their influence persisted. The conflicts reshaped medieval Europe, consolidating the power of the Catholic Church and fostering the growth of centralized monarchies. They also set the stage for the Age of Exploration, as Europeans sought new routes to the east to bypass Islamic territories. The Crusades' legacy continues to resonate in modern geopolitics, serving as a historical backdrop for ongoing tensions in the Middle East. The story of the Crusades is not a simple tale of good versus evil. It is a nuanced narrative of human ambition, faith, and struggle. While the wars were fought in the name of religion, they were driven by a complex web of motives. From spiritual devotion to personal gain. The Crusades remind us of the power of belief to unite and divide, to inspire acts of courage and compassion as well as violence and destruction. Today, the Crusades serve as a historical lens through which we can examine the interplay of religion, politics, and culture. They challenge us to reflect on the consequences of conflict and the ways in which history continues to shape our world. The Crusades are a testament to humanity's capacity for both greatness and folly, a reminder that the lessons of the past are as relevant now as ever.